Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something very interesting to take a look at. Something that at certain points I was kind of saying, I don't know if I'm going to get them, but I mean, here we are. I ended up getting some of them, not all of them, but I did get a few. Unfortunately, the only one I couldn't really find that I really wanted was the Carnotaurus. I don't see that one on Amazon or anything. But we do have some of the Fierce Changer figures here, and the first one we're going to take a look at is obviously the Giganotosaurus and Nasutoceratops, which is pretty interesting, but it's kind of cool looking here at first glance. Definitely not the greatest thing in the world, that's for sure, but one thing I can say straight away I do actually like about it is how nice the teeth look. The teeth actually have almost like that genuinely sort of sharp look. I feel like the teeth actually look better than they do on a lot of the mainline figures, which is very strange. But you can see as far as the box art goes, you've got a pretty cool Fierce Changers logo down here. You can also see again that we have an image there showing off what the dinosaur will look like once it transforms. We obviously start with the Giganotosaurus because that's what we see right now. And then there's also an image over here showing it off as it actually transforms as well. And then here on the back, you can see again, we've got 16 steps to kind of switch the dinosaur around and transition it into what they say is a Nasutoceratops. And then we've also got kind of an image down here showing how it works as well. So let's pop it out of the box and check it out. So fresh out of the packaging, here is what your Giganotosaurus version looks like, and it is just pretty much a jumbled mess. Like, I don't think it transforms very well into the version of the dinosaur you are looking at. The biggest problem would be the arms. Now, I obviously don't know exactly what they could do to switch this up and make it work a little bit nicer, but the arms look hideous. They clearly look like legs just attached to the dinosaur, sort of in reverse. I will say, though, that the head sculpt does look pretty cool. The body as a whole, you know, running along the upper part where it is very Giganotosaurus-like, does look pretty cool. For obvious reasons, it's nowhere near an accurate or screen-accurate version of a Giganotosaurus, but I think it looks fun for what it is. You know, we got all kinds of different exaggerated sort of dinosaurs in the Mattel line that are really cool, and if this were just like a main, you know, just a Giganotosaurus regular release and it looked like this and it was just kind of exaggerated, I think it would be pretty fun. But these weird things going on here with the arms definitely take away from the figure as a whole. I'm not going to transform it quite yet, because what we're going to do is we'll take a look at the Giganotosaurus side of the figure, then we'll transform it and take a look at the Nasutoceratops version. So let's go ahead and jump to that closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Giganotosaurus, you can see it does look pretty cool. It has a very angry look on its face. You can definitely see that there in the eyes. You can also see it has some pretty nice looking texturing, and that's one thing I've always commended Mattel for, is even when they create kind of like goofy stylized figures, they still give you a lot of really nice detail, and you can definitely see that is exactly the case here with this Giganotosaurus. You can see the nostrils sculpted out. You can also see some pretty nice looking paintwork as we have the darker tones leading down from the upper side of the head, nice greenish tones for the majority of the face, and then you have this light tone for the lower jaw. And again, it looks really, really cool. Definitely Jurassic World Dominion-ish with obviously an exaggerated style to it. We do have an articulated jaw, which is pretty cool. We have a nice textured tongue in there, nice paintwork, and a nice gloss coat as well. Same deal for the upper side, and again, the teeth are all sculpted very nicely and individually, and they're all painted really quite nicely. But as you lead back here into the back, you can see the ridges pick up here. You can also see that kind of armored-like appearance to the Giganotosaurus, and some nice looking skin texture throughout. You can see that we have this kind of brownish tone leading up through what should be the arms, but it's just basically the legs of our Nasutoceratops, and you can also see a kind of stripe up from the underside into the coloration of the Giganotosaurus. You can see the legs as well actually sport some nice detail, nice scale detail. You've got osteoderms and stuff throughout, and again, they do a great job when it comes to adding in detail on no matter what figure it is that they're creating. You've got the toes down here as well, obviously a very goofy looking foot sculpt. And then we lead out here and you've got the tail of the Giganotosaurus, which also looks pretty goofy. It's very, very short for obvious reasons. and again has that kind of armored-like appearance, but we don't have any of the darker tones out here on the actual tail. Here on the underside as well, you can see again a very scaly look to the figure, but obviously this is going to be part of our Nasutoceratops. So for us to transform this, I believe we have to lift this up. There we go. So we now bring the back up, which exposes the head of our what is said to be a Nasutoceratops. At the same time I'm doing this, the underside seems to be popping up, because I'd imagine we're going to have to put the head of our Giganotosaurus in there, so we can just completely switch them around now and kind of hide the head. Let's see if I get it. There we go now. No, actually we closed the underside, but not the upper side. So straight away, the upper side of mine isn't latching. I don't know why, but no matter what I do, it will not latch. So our Nasutoceratops is going to look pretty awkward. We switch the legs around here and reposition them, push the claws in, because you have to push the claws in to, escape the fingers of the Giganotosaurus, and then we'd have to push these down and then bring these toes out. We put those in, and we now have the rear legs. Same deal over here we're going to have to do. There we go, and now we have the rear legs back there, and I assume, I don't know if we do something different with the tail. Oh, I see. Maybe that's why it's not closing, because I didn't flip the tail around. Okay, so I might have messed it up, and that would be why it's not closing. So let's pull this out of the way. We'll flip this around. Boy, it is definitely a learning experience, that's for sure. Okay, so I think I finally have it. There were definitely some interest. Oh, there we go. It kind of closes now. So basically what I needed to do was flip the tail up so it goes on top of the head of the Giga, which would cause the head of the Giga to go down a little bit further. And now we have our very interesting version of the Nasutoceratops, which actually was... Oh, nope, we didn't get it fully done. We have to pull the frill out. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. But you can see, again, the sculpt of the Nasutoceratops does look pretty cool as far as the fine detail goes, but it's obviously, again, kind of goofy looking, very exaggerated, and doesn't really look so much like a Nasutoceratops. Almost looks a little bit more like a Triceratops to me. But we have a grayish tone here for the lower jaw. You can see a brownish tone for the upper side of the face, a little green there under the eye. The eye also makes this one look like he's very angry. We have a beak painted out as well as the horns, which is pretty cool to see. Again, quite a bit of coloration there for the face. You got some nice scale detail in the frill itself. And you even have a darker tone running over the top of the back here. And then again, that brownish tone that now leaks down into the green, which was the coloration for the Giganotosaurus. Once you switch the nails around, you can now see the nails definitely more so resemble the nails of a herbivore, or in this case, again, the Nasutoceratops. But everything does still have kind of a goofy look to it, as I expected it to. And considering what they are, again, transforming dinosaurs, there's really no way around it to create them in a way where they're not going to look goofy. I really don't think that there's any way to get around that. But, I mean, they're kind of cool in a way. They're just hideously ugly at the same time. Not something that I'm personally all that excited about. I'm not a huge fan of these, but I definitely think kids will enjoy them. And I guess that's what matters most, since it is a toy. Also, both figures very clearly have quite a bit of articulation to them. The head and neck doesn't really have much articulation. You can kind of see how it wobbles, but that's because it's going to try to flip the head back, so there's not a lot you can do there. But as far as the limbs go, now the articulation would be the same for whether it's the Giga or the Nasutoceratops. You can see you can articulate here in the shoulder, and you can also articulate in the elbow as well as the wrist. So you can move that around quite a bit. And then, of course, same deal is going to happen back here for the legs, as you have the hip. And then you've also got the knee. Doesn't look like, yeah, kind of, oh, there we go. So actually we can push those in. Oh, I see. Still figuring this out as we go. So for it to transform correctly, you want to push those legs in so those rear legs are a bit shorter. It does look a little better now, but you can, again, see you can articulate the knee. There we go. It's very stiff on this side. And then again, the ankle, which I now push the toenails back in. But the articulation does work. It's certainly not the greatest thing in the world, but it does work. As far as a size goes, I was kind of surprised with the size of this one. For a length, when it's the Nasutoceratops, you are looking at about 6 3/4 inches, or around the 17, closing in on 17.5, but not quite there, centimeters. And then height-wise, about 3 3/4 inches, or around 9.5 centimeters. Again, the measurement could be slightly different if we pulled the Giganotosaurus version back out, but I really don't think we need to do that. It's, again, kind of obvious it's going to be a similar size. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our fierce changer Nasutoceratops and Giganotosaurus. And you can see, again, pretty decent size overall. I was definitely impressed with the size. But for another comparison, and this is the comparison that I think will probably iron it out best for most, because we have a Mattel Velociraptor, one of probably the most popular figures in the toy line because there's just so many raptors, and pretty much everybody would probably have one at this point, next to our fierce changer Nasutoceratops and Giganotosaurus. So this should help to give you an idea of the size. Again, it's not huge by any means. There is a Rex coming out that looks pretty big, but these smaller ones definitely aren't huge, and hopefully this will help to show you that. And just in case you wanted one more comparison, here is the Parasaurolophus from the Hammond collection next to our Nasutoceratops Giganotosaurus Fierce Changer, just to give you again one more idea of a size. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Fierce Changers, Nasutoceratops, and Giganotosaurus is definitely something different from Mattel. It's definitely interesting. I will say they're certainly not my favorite thing Mattel has released, and in fact, they're probably at the bottom of the barrel. They're definitely down very far as what I enjoy from Mattel. Do they have some appeal to them? Sure, I mean, if you are into Transformers, or if you're just into goofy dinosaur stuff, which I sometimes am, you definitely could find a lot of fun in these. Are they the ugliest, worst things in the world? No, definitely not. I really don't think that they are. But again, they're definitely not something that I'm all that interested in. Although, I now have 2 of them, and I don't think there's all that many out, so maybe I'll end up just getting the others to complete the line. But it is still pretty cool, I guess, in a way, to have something like this as far as a different style of Jurassic World toy. Something that is definitely fresh and new, that's for sure. But again, they are still pretty ugly as a whole. They do have some nice fine detail to them, that's for sure, and some pretty cool paintwork, as there is definitely a lot of paintwork on them, and since the nails kind of flip and stuff, it does have the appearance of having painted nails and everything, because it does, and that's pretty cool. As far as the figures go, they almost have, a fully painted look to them, which is nice, something we don't see all the time in the main line, but the paintwork, again, is pretty good for what it is, and the sculpt work, like the fine detail of the sculpt work, is also really nicely done. Whether it's the Giga or the Nasutoceratops, it definitely has some nice fine detail to it. The actual transforming feature is kind of fun. I could definitely see people enjoying it if you are into that kind of thing, and it's actually not all that hard to figure out. It did take me a minute or two to figure it out, but once you do figure it out, it's actually pretty easy and very simplistic overall. And then, of course, it also has some articulation, which is also kind of fun. But as a whole, again, I can't say that they're definitely something I recommend. I can't say they're a massive hit and something that everyone's going to love. I, again, did throw some money out to grab them just to kind of review them for you guys, to either save you money and maybe you don't have to waste your money and grab them, or you may want to get them now and maybe I just, kind of pushed a purchase on you guys. One way or another, if it is something you are interested in, I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine on Amazon. So make sure you check that link. Go grab this if it's something you would like to have in your collection, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.